Friedrich Nietzsche, whoa, there you go. I'm loud, so. Speaking of Friedrich, he said, the higher that we soar, the smaller that we appear to those who cannot fly. Most of my life, my wings were clipped, and this talk is about why. Every single time anyone within the organization of Culture Matters speaks, it is a different talk. We sacrifice perfection for presence. So this talk was made specifically for today and will never be given again. I want to make that clear. This talk is for every man, woman, child, parent, employee, employer, human. Because human culture matters. The vision of Culture Matters is to live in a world where man, woman, and child takes responsibility to read, write, and speak every day. The mission is to read, write, speak every day. The purpose is to uncover our genius because, like I said, I don't know about you, but my wings were clipped most of my life. The belief is that when people read, write, speak every day, they develop the power to love themselves and others. So my goal today, our value, which there's a lot of alignment, collaboration. C stands for give first, intend to help, and get started today. My goal today is to make curiosity cool. I quit every day I am the entrepreneur. Whether we're a man, woman, child, employer, employee, we can all relate to antagonists. Have you ever had someone antagonize you? Say yes. Yes. Me too. What I realized was my wings were clipped because I never looked in the mirror. If you can't see this, take a picture. Bitter boss. Whether we're a child or a parent, an employee or an employer, we may not understand that what is said unto us may not be because of us. It was 1991. Linda was running into the police department in Newark, New Jersey, because the mafia was chasing her. She busted the doors open, threw her newborn baby, 3 months old, right on the desk. What happened? Anyone want to guess? What? Yeah, I ain't damn right I'm gonna tell you. Mafia wasn't chasing her. Linda was on a schizophrenic episode. At 7, she started drinking. At 12, she started doing drugs. And Linda, luckily for me, dropped me off right where I'd be able to be adopted by a woman who was in her 50s. And they had met Barbara, was her name, over work, and built a strong bond. What's interesting, and what qualifies myself to have this conversation about individuals, families, companies, employees, and employers, is that I did not accept Linda as my mother. And there was a clear cultural misalignment between her and I. And my wings were clipped. I was the bitter boss. I was the antagonist. Interestingly enough, Barbara was one of 5, and her mother and her had an antagonistic relationship. Because Barbara, the woman who adopted me's father, cheated on her mother pretty consistently. So who'd she take it out on? Her daughter, Barbara. Luckily for me, Barbara, if you look at the top, don't expect to get in there. Parent, child. One individual is all it takes for there to be our antagonist, the person that brings us down, to then lower who we are. Have you ever had someone talk nasty about you and then you play along with it? Meaning you defend yourself? Anybody? Say aye. I have done that. My wings were clipped. Barbara did everything that she could, having adopted me, having chosen me to love me. There should have been cultural alignment between Barbara and I. But there wasn't. Because the child can be the antagonist for the parent, as the parent to the child. And interestingly enough, Linda, my biological mother who I never met, her mother started drinking young. Her mother was beaten by her husband. She started drinking young. She started doing drugs young. The thing that I want to stress to everyone today is some of us never soar high because our wings are clipped. And it's about taking responsibility for ourselves, because if everyone's wings are clipped, but we're all supposed to fly, what if we're just bumping into each other? Have you ever had a bitter boss? Meaning, someone that you worked for that you didn't believe they respected you. Say aye. Aye. Have you ever had a relationship that you were in that you didn't feel respected? Say aye. Aye. Whether it's the employee or the employer, or as an antagonist, or the employer antagonizing the employee, all of us can fly, but our wings are clipped. So how did I overcome that? Interestingly enough, we grew up in the basement of this big house in northern New Jersey. My uncle, her sister's husband, lived upstairs. He was the entrepreneur. He was the guy that saw the future. He was the guy without the formal education. He was the guy I wanted to be. That told me, I would help you, but you're not blood. He was the guy that inspired me to be an entrepreneur and seek external reward to validate my insecurity of not being loved growing up. He was the guy I wanted to become and embody so I could feel good about myself. And it's a damn good thing that he lived upstairs. Because it took my entire life up until the last 2 years of climbing the external hierarchy and actually myself being a bitter boss, being the antagonist to Barbara, who we have a loving relationship today, being the antagonist to every woman that ever attempted to fill my mother's role, meaning a girlfriend, and none of them give me good young reviews, which where I am today, but it took my entire life to unclip my wings. So, digress. What the hell I do? Work with organizations at the highest level of success to help the CEO not be a bitter boss and create the ideas necessary for the people to the company to actualize through what the company stands for. Well, how did I figure that out? Insecurity. Bitter boss defined. Those that are bitter cannot be better, as they will inevitably contradict growth by projecting insecurity. Pride is the shield of insecurity, demonstrating the fears, desires, anger, and most of all, the perception of false confidence of a person's courage. This state of being is not finite, as it may alter in respect to different environments, disciplines, and among different antagonists in one's life. The bitter boss effect symbolizes all antagonists, whether parental, adolescent, employer, or employee. All parties are responsible one way or another, and therefore a decision must be made at each moment to unlock the chains of mediocrity and accept all antagonists where they are, so one can be a positive protagonist, not an antagonist. No talk is ever the same. Uneducated, adopted, unloving, insecure man stands before you today in purpose, writing and delineating this conversation so that maybe someone can unclip their wings and not be a bitter loss. Because what I realized was every individual that I've attracted in my life has been a reflection of my soul, who I am. That's the reason. Culture didn't matter until I could unclip my wings. It's not going to read that to you. It's a lot of reading, a lot of writing. 1,000 words a day is very possible. 15 minutes a day, you'd be surprised how many books that you could write. I didn't think I could, not having finished school. Mao's first line, it was Friedrich Nietzsche that said, "A lion will not be angered over a mouse. His relative power is too great. Defensiveness betrays weakness." It's funny, I was having a conversation, might as well shout him out. Anyone know Brad Lee? Yeah. Brad Lee's the man. Life BBT, get the content to the people that need it. We are having a conversation today about this quote. It took me 5 months to figure this out. A lion will not be angered over a mouse. His relative power is too great. Defensiveness betrays weakness. We would think, betrays weakness? No, wouldn't it portray weakness? Defensiveness betrays weakness. If our why is strong enough, we can bear any how. It is weakness. It is our faults. It is the things we are not good at that when we are open to getting feedback, when we are open to working on these things, we uncover the lid of mediocrity. We unshackle the chains of insecurity. We unshackle the anger and the resentment we hold on from our past because we cannot. We are all birds with clipped wings banging into each other. Defensiveness betrays weakness because it's your faults. It was my pain, my insecurity, my non-belief of love for myself that stopped the business I'm working at. That stopped me from listening to anyone, from wanting to coach people that weren't open instead of shutting up and asking questions, from wanting to sell products to people without even knowing who they were or what they're looking for, and over-talking myself and all of the things that stopped me. It was that weakness. And because I was insecure and closed off and wanted to be externally rewarded for who I believed I should be, I never listened. And when people called me out and said, "You need to work on this, you need to work on that," the people that cared about me, the people that loved me, the people I knew loved me, I didn't listen. Defensiveness betrays weakness because it's our weaknesses that we conquer that make us strong. If you see above the line, it says mouse. You see below the line, it represents lion. Think of above the line as our culture, as our conformity. We live in a materialistic society based on hollow observations of value. What do you drive? What do you have? All of these things. When really, what got us here were men and women. Without them, there wouldn't be them. I'm talking about 1776, a little different. Men who got together and had an idea of a country that wouldn't be enslaved by what? Their manager, William Penn, who ran Pennsylvania, and the owner of the company, King George. They got together and they had a vision to a solution to a problem. Who here owns their own business or wants to? Raise your hand. Who here works for someone that owns a business and you want to do really well? Raise your hand. Everyone in this room lives in a country that was the first business model of what we're doing. And it was founded out of conflict. It was found, I just fell over. That's how excited I get. That actually, I would have learned something. Weakness, I can't dance. Anyway, it was founded out of conflict. Men who were able to build their lives without the help of their manager, William Penn, who wasn't even in Pennsylvania for 17 years. They didn't need King George. They built their lives. They were industrialists. And what did they do? They founded a union that was similar to this. And they got together and had events. They had masterminds. And they said, we will figure out a way. We have less money, we have less credit, we have less men. Who here has started a business with no money, no credit, no men? Our country is the example. I stress to you, is the reason that they were able to win was not money or men. It was power. Not force, not insecurity, not pride. Power. It was power. They were open, they were curious, they thought, they masterminded, they worked together, and they told their truth that there would be a company or country where people would be able to build their life and not be employees of their employer. See, our world and where we live now, our companies and where we live now, short-sighted. What can help me now? Why is this boss oppressing me? Well, what about his relationship with his boss? And what could that antagonist above him or her be doing to your bosses or your parents to make them antagonize you? There's one thing to take away from today. It's, what if you took responsibility to not be bitter to the parent, to the spouse, to the boss, but choose to be better, like the founding fathers did, like the founder of the company originally did when they had a new idea, and they pushed it through anyway. They didn't listen to the haters and the doubters, and they spoke their truth. What could be different if you took responsibility? A person of power, be courteous and friendly, and may even love his enemies, as they present the needs or obstacles for him or her to test their strength. A person of power will be courteous and friendly, and may even love his enemies, as they present the needs or obstacles to test his strength. A lion, not a mouse. Now the question is, well, how do you do that? People are jerks. I'm not going to read that today. Or that. The world is chaos. We get plopped here, and we're not sure, well, now what? My recommendation would be to use your brain and not let it use you. We have our instincts: fight, flight, freeze, fornicate, feed. We have our emotions. That didn't work out last time. I'm afraid now. I'm going to logically make an excuse not to do it. That relationship didn't work out. I gotta be apprehensive this way. And now we just projected all of that past relationship onto our new what? What? We become the antagonist. And now they might have been, well, if the other relationship worked out, why would they be with us? We projected the energy from the last relationship because of what? Our emotions and our instincts. So we are the antagonist, and now they've been through that too with somebody else, so they bring it back to us, and what happens? We're both mice. I only stand before you today to tell the truth because I've been a mouse most of my damn life, and guess what? Every day I am too. It's called you have to make decisions to be like, oh, I gotta take responsibility. The world is chaotic. The environment is throwing adversity at us every single day. And it's about owning the fact that the meaning of our lives will be created in overcoming the conflict and unclipping our wings. And remember, the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly with their wings clipped. So if we take their energy and own it, who created that meeting? Us or them or us? Us. The more we get the results that we expected, that we wanted, the smaller we appear to those that cannot fly. And the more difficult it is to figure out what the answer would be. Because we don't have it. At every moment, due to the fact that the world is chaotic, you will be faced with the decision to let your previous experiences take over your emotion and guide. Does this work? Can you hear me? I'm pretty loud regardless. You know, all that insecurity starts to turn to like love and shit. So I'll be loud. I got something to say. The world is chaotic. And through that chaos, we can make a logical, loving, courageous, accepting decision not to be mad at the bird with a clipped wing saying, we shouldn't be able to fly. We're full of it. Our new business isn't going to work out. That idea is stupid. You're never going to be good at your job. Parent, employer, spouse. We're dancing with each other as antagonists and those that are the effect of that pain. Standing before you, the only reason I want to do this is because having been on that side and created meaning, making myself useful, how about just being useful for other people? It's a reason to get up and share something. So I want to leave you today as well. I'm not done yet. I know I'm not going to say, but you can get me off soon because it's like 2 hours deep at least. I mean, look, we're not even going to read all this. Can I read one? Yeah. Anyone want me to read this? Say aye. Aye. All right. Environmental chaos defined. And I can talk kind of in pictures, so sometimes it helps me to be able to read. A human's brain is the furnace of creation. Or, and I did write this, it wasn't like some ghost or something. Human's brain is the furnace of creation, or a drape covering our sight and leading us through this centerpiece onto us, humans, the creature of misunderstanding. Our brains hold the key to unlock our genius. Upon reflection, it is our mindset collocated by our brains interworking that synchronizes this causative and effective dance of life, which are new ideas, cultures, political ideologies, businesses, nations, and worlds to inhabit. Our brain is the bridge between what is and what we will to be. That's a typo. And culture matters. Separately, instinct and emotion and logic are vital in taking responsibility as a person of power. This is the crazy part, only humans can overcome the internal material, non-human beast without dying, but only by learning from our ancestors' culture. I define culture as a metaphorical ecosystem of shared belief, created by an influencer and maintained by the alignment of the influenced. And it's in that dance. When I shut up and I sit down and you talk and I listen, that we create the world. Man, woman, or child. It's when we develop our truth, ourself, to delineate that truth, and then shut up, sit down, and listen. Ever so probably that we create the world. And I've been here to argue that It is our understanding of our brain and our understanding of our pain. That wasn't supposed to rhyme, no poet. But it's the understanding of ourself to empathize. That person that genuinely doesn't like that, too many colors on, why does he have a vest on? It's okay. It's okay. They don't. Why would we be on the same page? We're not twins. I accept your curiosity and confusion and anger, baby. And I will love you. I'm not going to read that to you. It's like a 4-hour talk. Oh, wait, actually, I am going to read that. That's pretty funny. Oh, yeah. This one. So the premise, I'll get there in a second. The premise of this talk, the title of this talk, about a year ago, I decided to talk less and listen more. It wasn't 900 podcasts in a year, but it was about 100, actually 100 this week. My intent was to reach out to people that high status, low status people, and work on asking questions, being present, to listen to understand, not to reply. So I could open up my closed shield of pride or insecurity that shackled me to anger and resentments of my past. It was about a year ago, in my state of complete and utter 24/7 entrepreneurial neuroticism, that a dear friend recommended, maybe you should write. I just write something down. And everything changed. The reading wasn't there to memorize thoughts. It was there to think, maybe outside the box. The speaking originally was there because it felt good to hear myself talk. I mean, that worked for an insecure guy. The speaking became more valuable because when I shut up and I interviewed other people, oh, by the way, you don't need to have a camera, you can actually just start listening to your friends and your family members and your spouse and the client that you want to be, like the future customer. You can actually ask them questions and listen and guide them down the right decision, meaning the one you believe in. It was when I decided to start listening to understand right what I thought, not what I learned, what I thought. Today's not about learning from Jay. It's about thinking for yourself, taking responsibility over our shared antagonism. It was when I started writing, everything changed inside. And my wings started to unclip. So this is one of 300 of these that were written in the last 10 months to help unclip the neuroticism. Alright, change it. And it's the premise of this talk, which was written months ago, deconstructed into diagrams, deconstructed into definitions, deconstructed into context. So hopefully somebody can develop something of value for the planet. I'm thinking of an assembly line. White backdrop with black spots stick out in mind. The fear of the unknown, but not quite a sense of what is. These creatures slowly creeping to their maker is that of the entrepreneurial climb. It's 10 a.m. The alarm has gone off 7 times. Who's been there? 4:55 a.m. Click off. 5:25 a.m. Click off. 5:45. 6:05. 6:45. 8:30. 9 a.m. Click, click, click off. The decision has been made, and I'm mad now, but I'm no cow. I'm an entrepreneur, and an angry one at that. I, in my own way, cannot get out of it. The only thing reasonable that comes to mind starts and ends with a 4-letter word: quit. Who here spelled quit? So did I when I wrote this, by the way. I'm speaking up. Come to think of it, quotes got me here. Rememberings of cute success stories they like to sponsor on Facebook. Entrepreneurship is like eating glass. Elon Musk. Today I know the feeling. Every day is the same glass and the tired and true method of eating it. The job is to have no fear. My role is to fight the fire. The sole responsibility of me, the CEO, is to do the dirty work. To man my own conveyor belt and feed my people with this mad meat. They will never know the truth. The hell, they cannot see inside the factory of bullshit. The omissions I hold back, they cannot see the cleanliness, the tears, the screams, the pain inside. I hold the burden. Every night the same dream, white body and black spots, fear in their eyes as the curtailers near their destination. Feeding their people, the unclear, unknowing people, following the master controller, the mad cow himself. I lay here, 10 a.m., clock ticking, louder, muffled, redundant, revered yet resented by myself, my people and my cows. I must decide, and it must be to face the day. What are the choices I have? Only one. Good morning, Facebook. I love Monday. Mean face, happy sticker, exclamation, woo! Who else? Who else loves their work? Who here's done that? Exactly. This is the entrepreneur, and still, I want to eat the grass of my cows. This alarm clock represents, are we awake or not? Are we asleep and chasing the external? Are we asleep and making excuses for our past? Are we asleep and are we bitter for those that were bitter to us? Or are we better? And are we developing an understanding of self and an understanding of others so we can have power, so we can choose courage and not pride, so we can choose acceptance and not desire? That's what this alarm clock symbolizes. These cows are the obstacles in our way. These are the people, the places, the things, the unknowing strangers that don't know us, but project onto us. How can you blame someone for saying ill to you when that energy could just fall right off your shoulders unless you accept it? How can you let someone hold you back when they say ill to you unless you accept it? That's what I quit. I am the entrepreneur is. All of us here, we have a clear advantage over the millions of other species on this planet. Whatever faith you are, there's one faith I'm going to bet on, and that's human. Amen? Amen. I'm going to bet on human. I'm going to bet on the fact that we're a 150,000-year-old species, which the average species is 1.3 million years, so that means we're about 12 years old. I'm going to bet on the fact that the next 200 years will be bad, and I'm going to live to 175. Who's in? I'm in! Yes, because life can be amazing when we don't let people clip our wings. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. There's a lot more reading. That's why we have books. 30 Days of Thought. It's funny because everything they say about writing is true when you actually write the book. When you actually write. You ever think, why would we take books so seriously? Maybe because the person that wrote it had to use a lot of energy. Maybe because that was everything they ever ate. That photosynthesized to have thoughts. And you're standing on the experience of dead men and women. Maybe writing for yourself will help you. Actually writing. Because biologically, the reader gets value from the dead men and the dead women. Yes. Writing has not changed my life. Writing has created meaning because meaning is created when you serve other people. You have nothing to say. You're not serving anything but I would say a joke, like a Big Mac, but they're serving something. You gotta watch your words, they're powerful. 30 days of thought helped me create meaning in my life. In over 30 days, the reader reads an excerpt, like I quit every day I'm the entrepreneur, in the morning, midday, and the evening. And the point of the book is each excerpt is an extrapolated thought. And now in the next page, the reader is going to write what they think, not memorize what the hell I said, or anybody else for that matter. That didn't work out in any dictatorship I ever knew. This is a democracy. Entrepreneurship is a democracy. Relationship is a democracy. Listen to the lady. Listen to the guy. No one asked me for that advice, though. I should have said that. Just kidding. Over 30 days, read an excerpt in the morning, in the midday, in the evening, and write what you think, and film a video and put it out. That's what 30 days of thought is. My call to action for you guys today, besides taking responsibility, looking in the mirror, and listening to understand, not to apply, that's like a freaking to-do list right there. Write not what you learned from Jay the culture. No. Disagree with it. Please, I would listen. Maybe I'll listen. Write down what you thought about this topic. Get your camera out at some point, sooner than later, and film a video about what you thought. Even better, interview someone else that'll help them grow in you. These are the hashtags. I'll leave this. Read, write, speak, and I promise you, you will create meaning in your life. And I don't know about anyone else, but what else is there in life other than meaning? Thank you.